and he means every word. Back in the castle, our hero's been feeling kinda boring ever since Karl van Bate took charge of the wall construction. He's taken to having a tea party every afternoon while teaching the girls how to work their magic. Every now and then, he checks on the city wall's progress at the foot of the North Slope Mountain, always impressed by how much better it's going than expected. But then, the consultant shows up with some not-so-great news. He points out that hiring all those craftsmen and laborers has been super expensive, and all that cash is coming straight out of our hero's pocket. At this rate, the steward's worried they won't have enough money left by spring. Our hero officially starts to panic, realizing that he is freaking screwed. A moment later, while he's brainstorming ideas to get out of this financial mess, the old man finds it strange how much the prince has changed lately, as if he's become a completely different person. Back in the day, this guy knew nothing but the pleasures of life, and the only reason this old man sticks with our hero is because the king has promised him the position of Minister of Finance once the throne competition is over. When he first rolled into Border Town, he wasn't planning on running the place, nor was he gunning for the throne. He let down all the nobles and dumped all the responsibilities on the old man's lap. But ever since he rescued that witch, the prince has done a complete 180. The prince is now handling things with more thought and dealing with stuff like it's his second nature. He even talks to the old man in this grown-up tone that's seriously creeping the old dude out, making him wonder if the prince got possessed by a devil or something. But the old man brushes it off, saying if the prince were really possessed, he wouldn't have casually snagged that godforsaken retribution locket. Cut to the scene back at the port in Border Town. Two nobles and this redhead guy, who looks like some ambassador, are shooting the breeze. The guy in glasses reminds the ambassador they last swung by a year ago and gripes that the town's still a desolate pile of rocks. The redhead pipes up, correcting him that it was just 6 months back. He mentions how every season Duke randomly sends someone new here. He remembers visiting last summer, when besides rocks, there were all kinds of fancy furs floating around. When he is about to spill something juicy, he decides to keep it under wraps for some reason, and instead, he focuses on Border Town's potential. He suggests that although it's currently just a fortress outpost, if they set up a solid defense line here, all the land between Border Town and the fortress could be put to good use. Suddenly, the guy in glasses freaks out, pointing out that the stockpile is empty and Border Town was supposed to have their ore ready today. Looks like these visitors are here to collect ore before the demon months hit, offering shelter for the Border Town in return. The ambassador sighs and decides to take the problem to our hero. They ride back on their horses. The guy with purple hair wonders if Border Town found a new trade partner, or already sold their ore to Willowtown or Fallen Dragon Ridge. He's pretty sure it's the fourth prince's doing, who is our hero by the way. The redhead thinks hard, pondering if the prince has already set up deals with towns further down on the Redwater River. If so, they've lost yet another bargaining chip. He worries that if they try the same monopoly play as before, they're not likely to succeed since the fourth prince already has other trade partners to take their ore to sell. Once they get to the castle, they're greeted with this incredible feast. The ambassador, not sure how to handle chopsticks, glances over at our hero and awkwardly tries to eat the same way, struggling to even pick up his food. As his food flies off the chopsticks, the ambassador feels embarrassed, while the prince casually mentions that these sticks are easier and cheaper to make compared to forks. And once he introduces them to his town people, no one will have to worry about getting sick from eating with their bare hands. As the sun starts to dip, casting a golden glow over the castle, the prince is about to enjoy desserts after their impromptu dinner. Finally, the ambassador brings up the reason for their visit, pointing out that they came to collect ore as usual, only to find none at the dockyard this time. That's when our hero drops the bad news. There was a landslide at the North Slope Mountain recently. They've been trying to clear the rubble and resume production this month, but it looks like the mine won't reopen until sometime next year. The ambassador then asks about the production from previous months. Our hero simply shrugs and says it was lower than usual, barely enough to keep everyone fed. He adds that even if they manage to scrape together enough ore, it won't buy more than 2 months' worth of wheat. So, he suggests they totally revamp their deal. The ambassador looks worried and tries to reel our hero back in, apologizing for past screw-ups. He proposes that the 6 noble families of the fortress pool together to lend enough food for 1 month, promising they'll pay it back next year. But our hero isn't having it. He flat out says if they sell the ore to Willowtown, they won't owe anyone a thing. And here's the twist. The Willowtown is offering gold dragon coins in exchange for their ore. Plus, they're ready to trade wheat, cheese, bread, and honey, all at fair prices. Anything you can buy with gold dragons, they're happy to sell. Compared to dealing with Longsong Fortress, this new setup makes way more sense for the border town. Our hero asks the ambassador another question, pointing out if he even has enough influence to make that decision on behalf of the other families willing to lend 1 month's worth of food. Our hero quickly catches on that the ambassador is a member of the honeysuckle family, with this emblem being a dead giveaway. The prince acknowledges that the ambassador might be from one of the 6 families, but questions whether he can really convince Duke Ryan and the others to agree, or if he can guarantee it. Looks like our hero is hitting the nail on the head as the ambassador's face turns sour like a lemon. The scene flashes back to when the ambassador tried to reason with his father, arguing that the new ruler of Border Town, the fourth prince, definitely wouldn't agree to exchange his minerals and gemstones for some food and bread. He suggested buying from them at 30% under the market price, as they could still make substantial profits. But this bald machismo of a father confidently brushed off the concern, saying the sloth-like fourth prince would never handle Border Town's trade affairs. He believed they could continue swindling Border Town's resources for mere bread and shelter. In the present moment, the redhead ambassador, after thinking it through, realizes our hero has a point. He couldn't even convince his own father, but still wants to try his best. So, the redhead takes the plunge and offers to buy the ore and gemstones from Border Town at 30% below market price. The ambassador is confident his offer must be higher than what Willowtown is proposing. He emphasizes that Willowtown is far away, making it difficult to seek shelter during the demon months, which is why Longsong Fortress is the best option for shelter. The ambassador starts to mention the bad roads leading to Willowtown, but stops himself mid-sentence. Curious, our hero urges him to finish his thought. The redhead points out the dangers that could easily spring up along that road. The ambassador realizes he may have inadvertently issued a threat to a prince and starts panicking internally. Our hero just chuckles, dispelling the redhead's confusion, and explains that he never intended to seek refuge in Willowtown in the first place. That bombshell catches the redhead off guard, and he really throws the ambassador for a loop by making it crystal clear he's not going anywhere, not to Longsong Fortress or anywhere else. The prince goes on to explain that Border Town isn't just going to be some outpost anymore. It's going to be a full-fledged part of Grey Castle Kingdom. He's pumped to show off the brand new city walls stretching all the way from the North Slope Mountains to the Redwater River. The redhead's jaw practically hits the floor, and he double-checks with our hero if he heard right. The boy nods firmly, stressing they're putting up this wall right here in Border Town to keep those demons at bay. The redhead's mind flashes back to some fancy banquet where nobles were roasting our prince for starting construction projects just as the demon months were rolling in. Everyone had a good laugh at what they thought was our hero's cluelessness. At first, the redhead figured it was all just rich folks teasing each other for kicks. He never imagined our prince was serious about this whole wall thing. What's really mind-boggling is how our prince, known for chasing pleasure and not much else, is suddenly taking charge of something so massive. The redhead, freaking out a bit, assures our hero that once he's back at the fortress, he'll try to hash things out with the 6 noble families, hoping it'll all swing in our hero's favor. Now it's smack dab in the middle of the night, and our hero's feeling bummed that nightlife in this backwoods world is non-existent. People here hit the bed early unless they're up for clapping some cheeks. Even though he could easily bring someone over to liven up his night, he's got morals and won't stoop to anything sketchy. Out of the blue, someone sneaks up on our hero from behind. He spins around to find a woman in a robe singing his praises for handling the ambassador with brains, hinting the prince isn't all about the party life after all. Turns out she's an assassin, but our hero doesn't waste a second before trying to dash out of the room. The woman throws her dagger, stopping him in his tracks, and reassures him she's only here to chat, telling him to chill out and not panic. The boy stops dead in his tracks, especially with that sharp dagger staring him down, and asks the lady who she might be. She drops the bomb that she has no name but goes by Nightingale, a nickname her sisters gave her for some weird reason. She's surprisingly grateful for our hero's recent care towards witches. When the prince takes a closer look, he notices an emblem similar to the one the old man showed him, which belonged to the Witch Association. The lady gives him props again for his sharp mind, while our hero presses on, asking if she's here for Anna. He admits he has no clue how she knows about Anna, but still reassures the women that she is still alive. The lady nods, saying she already knows that much, and points out that even if she was killed, the Witch Association wouldn't appreciate meddling in politics by killing a prince just because a witch was killed. But she's quick to warn him not to underestimate them. The boy reassures her once again that Anna's doing well. The woman casually replies she already knows, and she's also aware of the other girl named Nana. Then she gives him the creeps by casually dropping that she's been spying on him for the past 2 weeks, keeping tabs on his every move, which really gets under our hero's skin. Because let's face it, this idiot did not have a single clue if he is being spied on. She gestures for our hero to come closer, assuring him she has no intention of harming him. Reluctantly, the boy sits before her, sensing no ill intentions. But then the woman gets uncomfortably close. Noting he's different because he shows no fear towards her or any other witches, she inches even closer. The prince steps back, half-jokingly telling her to keep it PG, not wanting YouTube to slap age restrictions on the video. The lady finally withdraws her hand and gets straight to the point that she's here to take Anna and Nana. The boy immediately refuses without hesitation, insisting they're happy here and safe under his watch. But the lady argues they'd be safer with the Witch Association, where they will be treated like family by every member. But the boy keeps pressing on, noting that the Witch Association doesn't even have a fixed place to call home. He mentions how his soldiers stumbled upon one of their camps hidden in a forest about a month ago, and the tracks led north. However, in that direction, there are only endless mountains. The lady defends their choice, saying they're based in desolate mountains to stay safe from outsiders and dangers. But the boy isn't convinced, bringing up the lack of basic necessities there that would make life difficult for the girls. He also remembers what the old man told him about the association's goal, which is to gather all witches and find the holy mountains, where witches can truly be safe. He asks if the lady has the same goal in mind. Cryptically, the lady responds that she can't give him an answer. This annoys the boy further, as he insists he won't let the girls live in such barren lands where only demons could thrive. That's when a light bulb goes off in his head, catching the lady totally off guard with what he says next. He invites the entire witch association to come to Border Town for the winter, looking all pleased with himself as he tries to convince her it won't be much trouble to wait until winter passes. The lady reminds him that while the prince may not fear witches, the townsfolk will likely freak out. Plus, the church will pounce the moment they catch wind that witches are staying in Border Town. But our hero is adamant, and wants to show everyone that witches aren't evil, especially if they help the town get through the tough months of demons. The lady then mentions another reason why she wants to take both ladies, especially Anna, who's almost the coming of age. Of course, this point sails right over our hero's head until the lady confirms he heard right. She explains that most witches awaken around the time of the months of demons, or when the gates of hell supposedly open. Basically, coming of age is a witch's final stage, and a woman who hasn't awakened her powers by 18 won't ever become a witch. Once a witch comes of age, during the months of demons, demons take over their minds, causing unbearable agony. It feels like something's trying to burst out of their bodies, straining every vein and tendon to the limit.